Bushcraft adventure. I apologize for the delay. Of course, old Robbie here was streaming away and everything said that it was good and dandy, but apparently I am terrible with technology. I scheduled this event to go live. It did go live, but YouTube didn't tell me there was extra steps involved, that I had to blend together you folks waiting out there in the cyber realm and us actually broadcasting. So that is a learning curve that I have failed at, and I do apologize, folks, and I apologize sincerely to Bill here, because we had a great conversation. That's the worst of all of this. We had stuff that is never going to be said again, and it was great. But now we have a lot of people joining us over there in the comments that have probably been waiting for a long time, and I apologize to you folks as well. So we do got Danny from Red Sand Adventures, we got Eric, we got Tandog218, we got Matt joining us, all kinds of folks there that have been very patiently waiting for us, and now I know why the questions haven't been coming in like I thought they would be. So, getting back more to the point, we are on episode 349, and we're talking with Bill Cox from Survival War. Like I said, we kind of covered this, but I'll try and do it again. Bill, fellow YouTuber, he's been doing some great stuff over on his channel, Survival War. If you check him out there on YouTube, he has an Instagram channel as well, which is Survival War _. Check him out there. Sorry to do this to you again, Bill, but give us kind of a crash course on who is Bill and what brings you to YouTube.
Sure. So, hello everyone. My name is Bill Cox from the Survival War channel. This isn't my first go on YouTube. I used to make videos under the channel name Pennsylvania Bushcraft. I ran that channel from about 2011 through 2016, 17. I quit making videos back then. Around then, I started a new job. When I quit, my channel had about 1 million views and about 4,000 subscribers. I did bushcrafting, camping, wilderness survival content. Took all that content down, worked my job, still kept going out, camping, trapping, hunting, doing all that. And then recently, my time kind of freed up again about 18 months ago, and I started the new YouTube channel, Survival War. Started posting to Instagram, kept my Facebook page alive, just changed the name to Survival War. And I started up making videos again. Being that my time's limited, being a steel worker, I generally work 6-7 days a week. My outings and stuff, I really don't do many of those and film them anymore. When I get a chance to go out, I usually spend them with my kids, my wife, or a couple friends of mine. But I like to go out, make kit videos, share the knowledge I've developed over the past about 30 years of camping, hunting, fishing. Like I said, I grew up here in Southwest Pennsylvania, in the Appalachian Mountains. I've been practicing bushcraft wilderness survival for the better part of about 25 years, since my early teens. I got into it through guys like Larry Dean Olson, Dave Alloway, Morris Kohansky. Bushcraft is one of the biggest influences in my background. I've read probably close to 200 books on survival bushcraft. I like the one thing Moore's inspired me with was his library, and as a reader, I just went out and started getting as much information as I could and ingesting that, and then putting it to practice, testing stuff out, skills. And then when I started my working, I got some training. The only formal training I have is some first aid. I have some trauma training, stop the bleed, but none of my skills, I don't have any official or technical bushcraft or wilderness survival training. That's all self-taught, practice through growing up, camping, hunting, and doing stuff out in the woods. The big influences when I grew up being a reader were the explorers going out west, Lewis and Clark, David Thompson, Mackenzie, those guys who explored the Canadian North and looking for the Northwest Passage. So the Voyagers, the Coeur d'Ivoire, things like that were the biggest topic for me when I was reading. So I don't know if you guys who know who Paul Provencher is. I have a couple of his books. Unfortunately, they're getting harder to find now. I have a couple of his books in French. I don't know French, but I bought them with the intent of learning French just so I can read them. So that's a project in the future. So that's a little bit about me. If you guys, I'm open to questions, and we can go from there.
So if anybody does have a question for Bill out there, please reach out to us in the comments and I'll translate them over. Just realize we do have an 8-second delay there. Yeah, no, great recap there. One of the things that we had talked about previous was you being self-taught and stuff like that, but that is a great skill to be self-taught. It gives you a lot more fundamental respect for the skills you're learning because you are bringing them out in yourself. It's not somebody just showing you and you looking over their shoulder and go, okay, yeah. It's you reading, figuring out, and putting into practice, which, let's face it, a lot of bushcrafting people nowadays, that's exactly what they're doing. So not only is it great that you're doing it, it's an inspiration to show that it can be done pretty great, or pretty easy. Well, I shouldn't say easily. It can be done if you put your mind to it. You know what I mean? When I say easily, I mean it's attainable. You know what I mean? It doesn't... Sorry, Ben?
It's achievable.
Achievable. Yeah. Thank you. So from there, we kind of jumped into what your channel entitles there. And what you do over in your channel is you post about your adventures. And one of your specialties is that you talk about a lot of kits and loadouts. And you started off kind of reviewing some of the pre-made kits, like the 5 essentials and stuff like that. But then you kind of moved on and you started creating some of your own kits, which is where we left off, where I figured out we had a problem. But how did you get from point A to point B again? And I don't really want to summarize because you gave a great talk on that.
Yeah. So initially, my old channel was based on outings, filming, making food, starting fires, setting up camp, and all the stuff you see a lot of guys doing on YouTube. I remember back when I started, I don't know if I'm sure everybody here knows who Joe Robinette is. I knew Joe when he was Joseph Allen 19 on his YouTube channel. He had less than 1,000 subscribers. Was a guy on Bushcraft USA, and watching those guys, there's a lot of guys out there who make films and share their adventures. I'm not that creative guy. I'm not a filmmaker, but I can hit record and I can get decent audio when I put a video together. And one of the things that I really enjoy is the little kits. It's not necessarily gear in general. It's the survival kits. People like Bradford Angier, Morris Kohansky, and guys like Les Stroud modern day kind of popularized. I started going over stuff like the 5 essentials, the 10 C's, giving my takes on those and my thoughts on those. And at that point, there's only so much you can do with that. I got into kind of showing what my kits I've developed and used over the years, and my thoughts behind them, why I'm using specific things, why I'm not using some specific things that a lot of people preach about. And kind of went from there. We've done a bunch of different things from a little 4.3 ounce pill bottle survival kit up to I think the next video I have planned is I think a 5-pound kit we're going to work on and show some stuff with it and the amount of capabilities you can pack into 5 pounds, and people would be surprised what you can achieve with even 5 pounds of gear if you select it right for your conditions. So that's kind of the progression through there. If you have any specific questions on any of those specific kits, we can go through those.
We do have a follow-up question that came from the comments there. So we have Eric joining us, once again, longtime viewer. Do you have any advice for someone who is trying to be self-taught?
So the first thing I usually recommend, if someone's just getting into this and wants to learn the skills, start with Morris Kohansky's book, Bushcraft. There's a lot of stuff in there. It's easily digestible.
Ben, where's your copy?
Mine's in the next room.
You're forgiven.
First thing, read that book. That's going to give you a good idea of the stuff that interests you, what you want to practice, and kind of give you a leaping off point. Next step I recommend to everybody, there's an online forum called Bushcraft USA. There's something on there called Bush Class. It's a free program where there are lessons laid out from very basic stuff, but for people just starting out, starting twig fires, learning to do a 1-stick fire, very basic things up to the advanced level where you got to do 10 outings and photograph them, show your evidence, show your proof, to doing hand drills, bow drills. That's a good place to start, and there's no pressure there. That's one of the best communities online that I found. Really, in my time, I'm 36, so I'm not that old, but I came of age right when the internet was really starting to pop off. And in my time on the internet, this is the only place I've found that I've been willing to give money to and be a paid supporter of. It's just a great community. Everybody shares all kinds of knowledge there. They support each other, and that's once you start reading, that's my next recommendation. Start there, and then don't be afraid to use YouTube. I urge people not to dwell on one person. Watch a lot of variety because you're going to see different ways to do different things, and you do have to have a level of discernment to see what's working for certain people, and if they're showing how they're coming to their conclusions, that's a big key.
What do we have here? Tandog218. Bill, a heartfelt thank you as I've changed a few things out from watching your videos. So there you go. Somebody that's been watching your videos. Now, a question you had, Ben, that we kind of led into after this.
Yeah, and I think I'll modify it a little bit because I think where it went really helped. I asked originally, what are some of the things that are in your kit all together? But also a really good point was meant, and I think this is what we should really talk a little bit about, is how good gear doesn't have to be expensive, and there's other ways to get to it. So, Bill, you had a good example of something, but we also talked about other methods. So, explain to us how good gear can be gotten at a reasonable, process.
So, with technology, a lot of things have come. Certain things have stayed up in price, but a lot of things have come down. Good knives don't have to be very expensive anymore. I have my share of $200-300 custom-made knives, but I also some of my primary users are $10 knives. I'll show this, and I know a lot of the audio guys won't be able to see this, but this knife right here, this is the Jorgensen utility knife. I've done a couple videos on my YouTube channel about it. I post about it quite often on Instagram. This is $9.99 shipped with Amazon Prime in the US. It looks much like the Haltfor's GK or the Mora 511. The difference is the spine is a lot thicker, and the tang in the handle runs right down to about here, and it's almost the whole width of the handle. It's not the normal rat tail tang you would see with a classic Mora. I've used 4 of these now since about the beginning of October. I've intentionally tried to break them without taking a hammer to them, and I haven't been able to do that. I've batoned them through dried black walnut here. I had some Osage orange, and I wanted to break one. I was trying to show that they weren't that great, and they have surprised me at every turn, and that's why this right now is generally my primary carry knife right now.
So does that come with the Kydex case on it as well, or did you make that?
It comes with a orange Mora style sheath.
Gotcha.
This was made by a buddy of mine on Instagram.
I was gonna say that's really nice for a $9.99 knife. I'd buy it for the case.
Yeah, even with that Kydex sheath, I think he charges like $35 for that. So $45 you're in, and you got a knife that's going to last you with a very quality holder. So
I really like the fact that it's a bright handle, because there's nothing worse than losing something that you really value, especially when you're in the woods, right?
Yep. I try anybody who's just getting into whether it's bushcraft or practicing wilderness survival skills. Anytime you have a chance to buy gear that is either fluorescent orange or like a neon color, yes, it's not the coolest color, but when you're first starting out, don't be afraid to get these orange knives. I still like carrying orange knives because when you set stuff down, and it will happen, you're going to spend a day. You're going to have a day where you spend a couple hours looking for something you don't want to lose, and it's going to ruin your day. This knife, you drop it, you're going to be able to find it real quick unless you dropped it somewhere on a trail a mile back. But anytime you have the option of going fluorescent orange or like a bright yellow, even a neon green, I know a lot of people talk about blue recently. You can get by with it, but fluorescent orange, green, yellow, those are the ones I recommend. Even guys like Cody Lundeen, that's what yellow is the one he harps on for different reasons. Orange, a lot of the main big companies make most of their knives. They offer them in orange in different versions. So,
and slightly off script here because it wasn't in the comments, but point worth talking about. What is the stigmatism to stuff that sticks out in the woods? Now, here's my point, folks, is bushcrafting. You are not surviving, you're thriving in the woods. Why is it dictated by how much camo you have on? 2 different mindsets in my mind. You know what I mean? Like, if I want to survive in the woods or thrive in the woods, I want to find my stuff, including my camp spot. I've never understood the big need for people to get, like, dark green or some sort of camo design, or I want to fade into the woods, which has its place. And I do have gear that fits that niche, but it's not my daily drivers. But some people, it has to be, you can't see it from 16 feet away, which means the second you set it down, you're guaranteed to lose it. And once upon a time, I learned this with just a black-handled knife. Not fancy, not green, not camel, black-handled. I was doing something. I was kneeling down, doing something on a log in front of me, and I set the knife beside me. And wherever that knife is, it is still in place today, because I never found it.
It's interesting. This is coming from the guy in the real tree camo gear on.
Hey, look, $7 shirt, bud. That's why we're in Real Tree Camo shirt. $7 shirt.
Yeah, like that knife, for instance, like when you said you're working on a log, when you set a black handle knife down, like a lot of, if you're around here, I deal with a lot of hardwood forests, so and it's at a little bit of elevation, so my forests are usually very peaty and a lot of thick decaying vegetation on the ground. If I set a black handle knife down and that like almost mulch, it's usually going to be a very dark brown or black. It's going to be easy to go missing. Like I said, I've had days where I've had to search 2 hours because I set something down I shouldn't have. Luckily, I found it, but that will happen eventually. It's not an if, it's when.
Yeah. And that's just it. It was just that simple. Literally, kneeling down, working on a log, no more than an arm length away from me. Like, how hard is it to find something in that area? It's gone, man. I looked for hours for this thing.
Yeah. Luckily, that was a lesson well learned. Now, the moment I'm done with a knife, whatever I'm doing, it goes back in the sheath, because that sheath it's either on my neck or on my belt. That's one rule. Ever since that happened, and I had to spend a couple hours looking, I'm like, that can't happen again, because that ruins your whole day.
Habits in the woods are really, really important, because you make a habit of doing something, you do it the same way over and over again. This is what I find. You make fewer mistakes. Like when I set gear up, it goes a certain way because that's the process I follow. When I take it down, it goes that if somebody interrupts me, the chances are I've lost the peg now. I've put something together wrong, and it bothers me for a long period of time. And I'm not OCD in most things in my life, but you might think I'm OCD if you're in the woods with me some days.
Let's see. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
I was just going to say, and that's understandable. When you're out in the woods and you're putting a shelter together, you're starting a fire, repetition builds that skill, and it's muscle memory. So say you're out hiking and it gets dark, your headlamp battery dies, and you at least have the stuff you need to make a fire. Even if you can't see, your muscle memory remembers how to do that, and you've done it enough to where you can kind of operate off just hitting go and making it happen.
So I'm just rolling us along a little here because I see we're at 17 minutes. Yeah, you do talk a lot about kits and loadouts and stuff like that, but that's not to say you don't do some adventuring. There are some adventures on your website, on your YouTube channel there, and you go out and you do some great things. And one in particular that I want to talk about, which was a great lead into this, is you had a little experience with Bigfoot.
Yeah. So the last video I actually uploaded to my old channel back in 2016 was when that had happened. So this happened in 2016 in December. I was in a local state forest here. It's called Forbes State Forest. It's about 50,000 acres just outside of Pittsburgh. And I was up there in a spot that I had been to before a few years prior. I was out scouting a new camp somewhere where I could do some winter camping that upcoming winter. And I thought I'd found a pretty good spot. I was sitting having some lunch. And the video I'm referencing is now up on that channel. I made it public again. I found it, re-uploaded it to the old channel. In the video, you can see me looking away, kind of getting sidetracked, just staring off to the side looking because I thought I'd heard something. Well, what actually happened was I'm sitting there, I'm eating dinner, talking about into the camera about the video, and to my far right, there was a stand of hemlocks about 100 yards off. It might not even have been 100 yards, maybe 75. And I just felt like I was being watched sitting there. And out of nowhere, I hear the comment. I don't know who pays attention to Bigfoot stuff, but I heard it. It said, "Hey, Levi, go." And it was in a very kind of direct tone. The only time I'd ever been up to that place before was with my buddy Zach and his dog Levi. Zach and I are quiet. When we're up in the woods, we just go to town, do what we're doing. The only time we're loud was when we would yell, "Hey, Levi," to come back. So when I heard that, I was kind of weird. Shrugged it off the first time, and then I heard it a second time. Very direct. Felt dread kind of wash over me. It felt like I was being warned to get out of there. And at that same time, in those hemlocks, I saw something. I don't know what it was. It wasn't very clear, but it was very big. 8.5 foot tall, maybe. Moving between the stand. It was far enough away to where I couldn't make it out, but in that area, there are a bear. Our bear are 200 pounds. These are not big bear. These are glorified big dogs. This was walking upright, and it was moving in that hemlock stand. When I saw that, again, that feeling of dread washed over, headed back to the car, and I still haven't been back to that spot ever since.
You say Bigfoot. That sounds skinwalker to me. I mean, I love everything that goes bump in the night. You know what I mean? I love hearing these stories, but not as big on Bigfoot as I am skinwalkers. And like I said, stuff that goes bump in the night. That sounds skinwalker to me, dude.
So I'm a person who I enjoy the Bigfoot stuff. I've never up until then I never had anything happen. I've been up to in those woods in that general area hundreds of times before. Nothing ever happened. No eerie feelings or anything like that. That time it felt like something was there. It wasn't warning me about itself. It felt like it was watching out, telling me to leave for some other reason. I didn't feel threatened by it, but I felt the need that what it was telling, whatever was happening, was something serious, and I needed to listen to my gut and get out of there. And that I don't know if I'm going to go back to that spot. I have my friend John wants to go. We'll see. That is to be determined yet. But after that, I had a bunch of people message me because that spot, we're about 35 miles outside of Pittsburgh, so a relatively big city. And that area is really popular for recreating and stuff. There's a lot of trails. I got dozens of messages from people in that same area telling me they had similar experiences.
Wow. And that's interesting. Like, personally, I've never had any kind of real experience in the woods, except one day I was walking back into a spot I had been with Ben before, and he left one of his wood sprites in the trees and damn near gave me a heart attack. But other than that, I haven't had any experiences myself, but I love hearing the stories. And I mean, like, I am a believer I don't think people fake this stuff. I think you know what I mean? Like, people believe what they believe.
I do. And I don't know if you guys follow any of Les Stroud's work, but as far as like the kind of public-facing figures, I don't know if you've ever listened or heard Les talk about his experiences, whether it was in Alaska, Northern Ontario, or some of the most convincing stuff he talks about was in the Smoky Mountains and outside Portland, Oregon. He's been on a bunch of other shows talking about them. And if anybody out there, I think Les is as reliable of a source you're going to be hard pressed to find people who spend more time out there, or with the reference to wildlife and stuff, who understand like this is sounds you're going to hear. And some of the stuff he's went over, like, if not him, then who are you going to believe? Like, there's a lot of people out there who won't really say what they've had happen to them. And it's really hard to look at people. If your aunt who never lies to you tells you she had this experience, why is that the one thing she's just out to lie about?
And that's the thing. I don't think people lie, man. I think people experience what they experience. Now, what it was, that's up for people to decide for themselves. You know what I mean? I do see that we're getting some nag comments that we're running out of time here. Not from our comment section, from our program. Quick question for you. What are some Pennsylvania-specific resources, books, or anything else that you could recommend for studying bushcraft survival in the area? This comes from Demon Hunter 767.
So in Pennsylvania, we're actually pretty lucky. We have one of the best schools in the country, I think, and that's the Cold Cracker Bushcraft course with Dan Wowak. He's on the other side of the state, but his classes are relatively inexpensive, and he's as legitimate as a teacher out there that I would recommend. Pennsylvania really doesn't have that much other than that. We got a company called Lodestone Training. They do some wilderness survival teaching. They're not very big. They're kind of well known in this area, but that's about it. There really isn't much Pennsylvania specific. We got Ohio right next to us, where you got guys like Dave Canterbury and Waypoint Survival. So there are places relatively close that if you're looking for direct training, you can go to them. I don't call myself an instructor. I'm not a bushcraft teacher or anything like that. I'm just someone who has a couple of decades of going out doing this stuff, practicing. And if you find value in what I have to go out and talk about, I'm glad it helps. But I'm not out here proclaiming myself as some guru or instructor out there.
Hey, humbleness too. So rolling right along, couple with programs you had going that I want to talk about that I think people should know about. Your first one's going to be Kits for Kids, which you had mentioned in one of your updates, and the other one was Gear for Big Guys. So let's start with Kits for Kids. What was the idea in that for you?
So I have we talked about my friend group in off screen. One of my good friends, they run a homeschool group, and something they wanted to do, they talked about trying to teach the kids some wilderness survival basics, starting fires, shelter building. So one of the things I wanted to do, because I was going to help them with that, was put together kits we could just give the kids. It was theirs. They would have from a young age. They could learn, practice, and kind of light that fire under them to get out and enjoy the woods instead of doing the normal stuck to the iPad kind of kid thing that happens nowadays. Those classes, we're looking at putting those together. They're going to start this summer with the homeschool group. I've got most of this stuff after buying stuff throughout the year. We'll have about 10 kits for the 10 kids in the class, and that's what those are going to be going for. We haven't decided yet if we're going to film some stuff and put it out just for people to see how we went about it and kind of what we were showing the kids to do. That's to be decided. But that is, you'll see that content coming out in the next, once spring rolls around, probably.
Wonderful. And how about gear for big guys? Because we do have some, like Ben and I are not small guys, judging by the comments. Tan Dog 2018 is not the smallest guy. So what's that all about?
Yeah, so I mentioned that last summer, seeing if some people were interested in that. I've spent the last few months putting together some stuff, testing out some stuff that I didn't have and acquiring some new stuff. Those are some videos we're going to do because I'm a big guy. I am just under 6 foot tall and I'm about 450 pounds right now. I am a big man, but it's never stopped me from getting out. I grew up playing football, baseball. I've just always been a big guy. And I understand how hard it is to find sleeping bags, packs that fit right, outdoor clothing. And I've spent my time looking, whether it's modifying some stuff, but there are some companies out there that really do make some stuff geared towards bigger guys. Big Agnes, if you're looking for sleeping bags, sleeping pads, that's my recommendation. They make some of the best sleeping bags out there, and they fit. Like I have 70-inch chests, so their sleeping bags, I can get in there comfortably. They have 0-degree bags, and they're all quality. I've went through different packs, Frost River. There are companies out there that they make packs that are tight, don't ride too high, and they feel comfortable. And those videos, they're coming out soon. I have a couple friends who keep pushing to get those out, and they kind of got put on the back burner last summer, but those will be coming out this spring and summer too.
Nice. So you do got content on both ends of the spectrums there for the young and for those of us that may have a more fluffy demeanor, which is always nice. You got any follow-up questions there, Ben?
Yeah, this is just my personal interest right now. Like, what skills are you working on presently? Because I think we're all working on some.
So my focus the last few months, I just brought some hand drill spindles in the house. Hand drill is one that was my goal for this spring and summer to get down. I've done it in the past. It's not fun. It's not fun practicing, but it's something I want to get proficient at and have in my back pocket. That's been my primary skill I've been working on the last few months.
So when you're working on your hand drills, are you going to use strict hand drills, or are you going to cheat a little bit with a string? Because I found for me, like starting off doing it, I used a cheater string, and it got the core concepts of pressure down before you got the kind of back and forth and down pressure hand movements down, right? Because that was frustrating starting off for me, just a little bit of my experience.
Yep. I have a couple of friends who've talked about the hand drill. I'm like, if it's something you want to practice, get used to failing, because you're going to fail almost exclusively until you get it, until everything clicks and you figure out the motions and the pressures you have to keep. It's exclusive failure until you're going to hit it, and once you hit it, you understand the pressure you need to do it, and then you're going to be fairly successful from there on out. And I'm starting to reach that point. I didn't use the cheater string. I went straight. I'm trying to keep straight with just the hands and the down force, just for my own. I don't know if it's self-torture, but I want to make sure that's where I come from, and I have that in my back pocket just for.
Oh, absolutely, and that's the way I originally learned. Was I didn't use the string. I used the string afterwards. Okay. I'm just saying I wish I had to use the string first. Try it once you get good at it, and you'll see what I mean. It takes one of the things off so you can learn more about the pressure. My experience. I'm curious to see what your experience is as you go down there. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and the other thing I've been working on, I just had a bunch of willow. This spring I'm going to start doing some basket weaving. That's something else I've been some baskets and working on. I thought about doing some traps like bird traps, Ojibwa bird traps, and stuff like that, and putting that out. That's the stuff I'm kind of focused on in the upcoming months.
Good one too. I personally think I got to figure out how to make a pair of shoes someday, because I have such tender feet that, and that's what I've always thought with the basket weaving. I think you could weave a decent sole and just tie it over the foot. But yeah, if you ever watch the shows where they go like Naked Afraid, and I like footwear would be the first thing I'm after.
Yep. Oh, I love Cody Lundeen, but I don't know how he does it. Like, I understand his feet are probably an inch thick of callus, but I still.
Believe it or not, my wife follows his philosophy. When we hit the woods, her boots come off.
Right?
That's the weirdest thing, man. I wouldn't expect it from my wife.
I understand the reasoning. I get it.
As she bursts in and laughs about it. Primitive. Oh, gotcha. Get to do a primitive episode. Sorry, there was a comment there, and they're like, I'd like to see you guys do a private episode. And I'm thinking, we may be starting up that Atlantic Bushcraft OnlyFans page, but primitive episode.
So pay us to get off it.
Anyway, we are coming to the end of our time there. You got any final thoughts that you'd like to shout out there, Bill? Any definitely tell us your YouTube channel, your Instagram, anywhere else we can find you, anything else.
You can find me on YouTube. It is Survival Lore Official on YouTube, Survival Lore _ on Instagram. That's where you can find me posting. The one place I'd love to find people come out and find me is Bushcraft USA. On there, my name's Bill Cox. It's just my real name. It's been that way. And all the videos I used to shoot for YouTube, I also do like trip reports. That stuff is still way in the backlog on there on Bushcraft USA. So if you want to go find it, it is there. You have to really do some digging. But some of it is still up. Some of it Photo Bucket kind of dumped back when Photo Bucket was a thing. So that's still there. And if with the kids' kits, one thing I did, I put together a PDF. It's a survival lore thing. It leans out some key things kids should know some tips and tricks. It's a free PDF to download. There's a link on my Instagram. If you look at the highlights, there's one that's resources. It's just a free PDF in there on a Google Sheet. You can download and print. I highlight. We've put them together. They're laminated. We give them out to kids and stuff there, but there's no charge for it. It's just a free resource for anybody interested.
All right, and where can they find that again? I was jotting notes. I may include it in the comments if I can here.
That is on my Instagram.
Instagram?
Up in the highlights section, you'll see that it says resources, and you'll be able to find it in one of those tabs. There's a link to the Google Sheet. I have that and a couple other free PDFs on there.
I'll see if I can find that up, and I'll throw it in our description there so that people can have access to that. Now, an idea I've had kind of cooking in the back of my head as we started, and I'm hoping you'll be on for this, is I'd like to get you back on here for not so much an interview, a deep dive into kits in general. And I think Ben can kind of jump on board with this too, because we're all about packing things and getting what you need for what you're doing. And I would love to get your input on it, but it's kind of a lengthy topic, and it would have muddied so much of the time here tonight. So we'll talk about that later if you're interested.
Oh, yeah, definitely. We can do that.
I'd love to hear your logic on eliminating gear, because I heard you make a comment earlier about gear you don't take that people have been talking about. So I'd really like to hear that logic, because I think that's something a lot of people miss in life. And they just... Ben
knows what I'm going with on this one.
So, yeah, it should be a good conversation. I would love to do it too.
So I think that would be fun talk.
So if you folks are interested in hearing that, one, it's going to happen anyway, but two, start throwing your ideas into this. Let us know what you'd like to talk about on this. I know what I want to ask Bill, because I know Ben and I think very much alike, and that's just it. We want to get the methodology behind this in the decisions to eliminate and what to take. But what do you folks want? We always love to hear your guys' feedback, and you do reach out to us via email, comments on any of our sources there, and we are across the internet, much like Bill, so you can find us on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, and anything else out there that I am really not smart enough to at least sign up for, but I have tried. And let us know, and we'll touch base with Bill here, and we'll try and figure out a date that works for him. We'll get him back on. We're going to do a deep dive on kits, and I think we're going to have a lot of fun on that. Any closing thoughts there, Ben?
No, I'd like to really thank Bill for joining us and sharing what he knows, and look forward to chatting with him again soon, and love to hear what keep hearing what you're doing and how things are going. And I'll check out your channel some more. And yeah, encourage everyone else to do the same.
Thank you, Robert and Ben, for having me.
Thanks for joining us, Bill. And like I said, any comments that come from this, I'll try and forward into you. That way you have a little bit up. And like I said, lots of people probably dip comments in there and with, thank yous and looking for more information. And I'm going to graciously kind of point them back to you because who better to give that information than the source? Is that good with you?
Oh, that's fine.
Perfect. So once again, thank you for joining us, Bill. Ben, all of that. I know we're at our last minute, so hopefully I get this in here. We got 2 minutes. I've been kind of half watching. So yeah, thanks for everybody for joining us. I'm going to try and throw some information in the description of this one. I got to do some digging there and I'll try and find all that stuff. Thanks to everybody that joined us. We got like Matt, Eric, Danny. We had Tan Dog. I seen Demon Hunter. A few other names pop up there. If I didn't mention you, I'm sorry. I'm just running through them and trying to get it all in the last 2 minutes here. But once again, thank you for joining us. If you have any other ideas for podcasts that you'd like to see or interviews with other folks, please reach out to us in the same manners that we mentioned before. Holy God, that was a lot to jump in a short amount of time. All right, folks. Have a good night. We'll talk to you next time.